everybody. Thank you for joining us for this month's November virtual homeowner maintenance event. We are here in the Festival of Home here in Malaspina Ranch. It's beautifully decorated, festive, fun, gorgeous, and we're so lucky to be here. As per the usual, make sure that you leave your comments below with questions, ideas for future videos, that sort of thing. One homeowner every month is chosen for a $50 Home Depot gift card. Totally worth it, so leave your comments below. Typically speaking, we do a quick Q&A at the end of this video. I promise I will answer your questions. We don't have Mark, 5-star Mark here to answer our questions on the spot. So I'll ask that you leave your questions below and I promise I'll get back to you after that. This month will be doing prepping for precipitation. We want to make sure that you're all prepped and ready to go. It's been drizzling today, ironically speaking. So we want to make sure that you're ready for it. There's different things involved with a home that when rain comes, it can be a little nerve-wracking if you're not used to rain or if it's a new home and you just want to be prepared. One of the main questions that we receive is questions about windows. So we wanted to run through a couple things with you: window maintenance, how the window's built, when and when not to be concerned in the winter time and when you've got precipitation or condensation. So I'll have Janice come over here real quick for me and take a peek at this window. So the way this window is built is when the rain comes in, it will obviously hit the window. It'll go through the screen on this side, come in, and most likely it'll hit the pane of the window, come down the side of the window and land in this track. Because when this is closed, that's where the track ends up in here. That's totally fine, totally normal. If you do get water in this track, the one thing we want to make sure is that that water is draining out. So if you have water that's filling up this track and coming over and getting onto this windowsill, that's when you want to be a little bit nervous and get in contact with your customer care department. We'll take good care of you. But also one thing to make sure is that when you see water in this track, make sure that these guys are clean. This whole track should obviously be clean, but ensuring that there's no debris or dust, dirt, dead flies or anything like that. They love dying in this track. Make sure that that's clean in here. This is called a weep hole. And the reason why it's called a weep hole is because this hole actually is dug out and punched through to the outside, which I can show you in just a second. But that allows any water that makes its way into here, because it is inevitable for water to get into this track, allows it to get through this hole and drain out to the outside. So if this is blocked by, like I said, debris, dead bugs or anything like that, that'll cause that hole not to drain and you'll end up with puddling and that sort of thing. One thing that you can use, in addition to just using a rag to clean that out, you can use something like a dust buster. These are those air cans that you use for your electronics and that sort of thing. You can grab a can of this and you can spray that weep hole out and make sure that it's nice and clear. That'll help make sure that you don't have any leftover debris. And I'll show you that weep hole from the outside so you believe me that it does go all the way through. Gorgeous kitchen. I love this kitchen. Okay. Come on out with me. On each of your windows, your sliding glass doors, it's the same concept. Whether the window opens up this way or side to side, you'll see these weep holes down at the bottom. That's that same concept on each of these corners. The one that we have open on the inside is this guy right here. This is the weep hole, the other side of that I was showing you earlier. You can dust blow from this side as well, just to make sure that it's all the way through, and that'll help you out. One other question that we receive pretty often is condensation. So as the outside gets cooler and the inside of your house stays warmer, obviously you don't want it as cold, well, maybe you do, as cold inside as it is outside. If you keep the heat up inside, there is a chance that you'll get condensation on the inside of the window. The The only time you want to have a concern about that is if the condensation can't be wiped off. There's two types of condensation. If the condensation can be wiped off, that's considered environmental condensation. That means that the humidity on the inside of the home and the heat of the inside of the home is allowing that condensation to build up on the inside of the window. Totally normal. But you want to make sure that you're cleaning that off. If you leave that on there, there is a possibility that mold will grow. Not great. So make sure that you're drying that off as often as possible. You can also help prevent environmental condensation by decreasing the humidity in your home, turning those air humidifiers off, turning on your exhaust fans, turning on the fan of your HVAC unit to get that the moisture. Get the moisture. Sorry, apologize about that. Get the moisture dried up and get some circulation throughout the home. So make sure that you're keeping the humidity lower than it is outside to help with that. We suggest a humidity of 45% or lower. That's actually a suggestion by our flooring manufacturer. So keep that in mind when you look at your HVAC system. It should show a humidity percent if you've got a smarter system. So keep that in mind. Another type of condensation is from the seal of the window being broken. That's the time that you want to make sure that you contact us at customer care, because on these windows, on the edge, inside it's hard to tell, but on the inside of this edge there is a seal in there that you want to make sure is connected from the vinyl to the glass. If for some reason that seal is broken, it'll allow condensation between the panes. The way that you'll know that that's happened, you come to wipe off the condensation, doesn't wipe off, contact customer care. We'll get somebody out there to help you out and get that window fixed back up for you. Okay, so the last thing that I want to mention is during the winter time, much like our bones, as it gets colder outside, you may notice that things stiffen up. I know my body gets stiff in the cold, doesn't like it. It wants to be warm and toasty and moving well. Your windows and the vinyl of the windows is similar. So you want to make sure that you're lubricating those windows in the winter time so that the function's good, the latches are nice. One thing to pay attention to when you're doing that is to only use silicone-based lubricants. When you're using vinyl, when you have vinyl, silicone-based lubricants is the only way to go. So just keep that in mind. All right, I'm gonna grab my coat after Janice gets a good little look at that guy. There's our dust buster for our windows. I'll close this nice and even like. Flip those shut. I'm gonna grab my coat. We're gonna go talk about gutters real quick.
Taylor, while you're doing that, Jennifer would like to know,
yes,
should we caulk the outside of the windows? Do you want to discuss that now, or
yes,
shall we? Okay.
Jennifer, that's a fantastic question. Let's actually bounce back out here then. Fantastic question. Unlocking the doors of idea. Okay. So caulking the exterior of the windows. When we build the home, we do not caulk the exterior of the windows, and there is a reason for that. So, when you look at these windows, you have the siding trim, then you have the edge of the window. During the winter months, wood, just naturally, and vinyl for that matter, both will shrink and expand. That's why the window gets stiffer. That's why you may notice that doors close a little bit differently during the winter versus the summer. It's because both the wood and the vinyl are shrinking and expanding. The reason why we don't caulk this seam is because once you get that expansion or that contraction, you're going to end up with cracking in the caulking here. We would warn against caulking because you have to be extremely, extremely diligent on redoing that caulking on the exterior, because if you do caulk and you get a crack and then precipitation happens, you'll get water behind that caulking and it'll be stuck behind between the trim and the vinyl. That's not good because you're going to get mold, you're going to get water damage. It's never good to seal water behind something. So that's why we leave this gap open, is to allow that water to just come and go freely. We don't want it to be trapped back there. This also allows the expansion and the contraction to happen freely as well. That's a great question. There is, just so that you know, for the build of a window, there is a flashing is what it's called. It's almost like an invisible window frame that's behind, you can't see it, but it's behind this piece of trim, and it tucks back in, so there's a metal flange, so to speak, that sits back here. So this is not just empty space to go right into your living room. There's a protective barrier behind this piece of trim that'll keep you from having water enter into your home. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Taylor.
Do we have any others at this moment in time?
We're good.
Okay. Well, let's buzz on over. Come on in. Welcome to my home. Okay. So we're gonna rock over real quick to the sales center, which is right next door. I have some items over there for us to look at.
Garage door open.
Thank you, ADT panel. So we are going to talk briefly here about gutters. One thing, you want to make sure that you're keeping your gutters clean all year long. Obviously, we get rain, snow, all times of the year, so you want to make sure that those are clean of debris, dirt, mud, leaves, anything like that. You'll notice here, we want to make sure that we have gutters over walkways that are uncovered. So for example, this one is covered, so you're good. When you come out of your doorway, you don't want to hit a patch of ice, slip and fall, and that would be not great. So per code, we want to put gutters over doorways and walkways. Gutters outside of that, like if you look at this roof line, you won't have gutters on the rest of your roofing unless you choose to do so. I am a lover of gutters just because A, I like the way they look. I know that might be weird, but B, I want to protect my home as best I can. So I love adding gutters. If you choose to do so, we have a fantastic gutter guy. It's StormGuard Seamless Rain Gutters. He's fantastic. He's reasonable in pricing. He's professional. He's fast. And he's fantastic at what he does. So he can put gutters up and downspout them to wherever you want them to go. Well, within reason. And that's a great idea if you want to add an additional level of protection to your home. Again, up to you. We add them above doorways so that you don't slip and fall. And then we have downspouts. Downspouts are what I really want to talk about. You want to keep this area clean as well. I've got a few different items here to show you, but you want to keep the area clean of debris. You don't want to have a big old pile of stuff right here, like I currently do. And what you can do, which I'm going to talk to you about real quick, your grading for code has to be graded away from the home for the first 18 inches. We shoot for the first 3 to 5 feet just because we want to go a little above and beyond CBH way. But for the first 18 inches, you've got this slope down and away from the home. That'll help with any water that comes out of this gutter, hits the ground, it'll redirect it. You may, depending on how much water we get, how much precipitation we get, you may still end up with water close to your home. If your water sticks around for over 48 to 72 hours, you can definitely contact us, but we ask that you do wait that 42 to 72 hour time period before you give us a ring and say, hey, I've got puddling next to my home. That will happen because we do get pretty decent rain and snowstorms. But one thing that you can't do if that makes you nervous is you can install gutter extensions. There's a few different styles. Each one has its own pro and con. You've got traditional style gutter extensions that are similar to to these. So these are going to be external. You'll see them from the outside. You can pop them on, pop them off, depending on the time of year, or say if you had grass in this section and you wanted to pop it on when it's potentially raining, and then you come out to mow your lawn and you want to pop it off. These guys are easily removed and reinstalled. So for example, this guy is just kind of a trough. He's got this collar, nice and easy. It slips on over. I won't do it to you because then I'll just have to take it right back off. But this collar goes over the top and it'll sit right here, acts as a nice little trough to get the water away, really far away from the home. And you've got a good, 24 to 30 inches of extension off the end of your gutter. Another option is this guy. This one can pull apart, kind of like an accordion. It's kind of a loud pop, so I apologize about that. You can bend it to your will, change the direction of where it's going, have it curl up, do whatever you need to do to get it onto the collar. And it's similar to this one, where this piece just goes right over the top. And then it'll just hang here. You can pop it out, accordion it out for a little bit further action. You can direct it to a different direction. And then both of these will just pop off and on whenever you need it. The third option that we have found is a little bit more of a permanent option. There's a couple things that I want to warn folks about with this before I show you how it works. When you have an in-ground drain like this, you've got to make sure that it's clean of any rocks, any leaves, any grass clippings, anything like that, because if this gets blocked up, it's going to obviously not do you any good. Another thing is when you are installing it, you have to make sure that you're installing it at a slope downhill. So what you would end up doing, I'm not going to dig a big old hole out here, but you would dig a hole this size and set this puppy down into the ground underneath this downspout. So it's almost like a little catch basin. You dig out, put it into the ground, and then you attach this hose down in a trench, attach it in, and you can pull this guy out. It says on the instructions that this can be pulled out to 8 feet. I believe it, because that's a lot of hose. And you can dig your trench in a downward slope and get this water down and away from your home. You can lead it out that way, maybe water a tree, something like that, just using this that's going to be down and invisible. This is a much prettier looking option in my opinion than these guys, but you have to remember that there is a lot of upkeep with these types of gutter rerouting options. So that is the extension options that we have to show you. We've gone over questions with windows. If there's anything else that you can think of to ask us that we haven't gone over today, please let us know. Email us customercare@cvhhomes.com for questions. You can give us a call at 953-2217. Comment on our video if you've got ideas for future videos in the next upcoming months, and we'll pick our winner for this month. Thank you so much for watching.